live streams before, but today I thought I would actually attempt to record a video of me painting models from scratch and actually edit it together and try and do more of a guide. So I guess here it goes. So obviously the models I'm going to start painting today are there's a couple of models. Well, clearly they're war elephants, and these are what, 15mm scale from Warlord. They're the epic Punic Wars models. Yeah, so I guess we're going to crack on and get going, really. And I'll take you through, show you what I do, and yeah, sort of show you a bit of a guide, really. So and then edit it together. So let's see how this goes. Right. Obviously we're going to start by I've built a model. I've put a bit of sand on the base, not very well, but hopefully what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some like flock on that at the end. I've got some really small grassy flock. I'm going to put it on there, so hopefully that will cover up my shoddy sand effect I've done on the base there, because it's not very good. But that's just sand and PVA glue put on the base, and as you can see, this is just attached to a little paint pot. So let us get going. Right, so what I'm going to be using, I always hand prime everything, and people don't normally see that on the channel. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a surface primer, which is the Vallejo German Panzer Grey primer. I just kind of use it because it's nice, and it's kind of like my go-to primer now. I've tried black, I've tried white, but grey, I don't know, it just seems to work for me. So also I'm going to use a high quality, it's not even a hobby brush, I think this is one of my, I think it's like a painting brush, like for doing the corners of like rooms. So let's get going. Now this is the part of the video that is actually going to be sped up as I just kind of apply the primer, really. So as you can see, the primer is going to go on. Just applying it with a brush, not worrying about it too much. And yeah, so this is I guess I'll play some music or something like that, or try and edit, see if I can do that, and speed it up. So hopefully with a bit of luck, you'll just see a man painting incredibly fast. So okie dokie. So we're all done there. Things I might say is that you got to be careful when you're painting these models. Let me get my pointy stick. This is stuck to the base. It's a little bit tricky to get underneath there, and because I'm painting with a brush, and obviously we've got like nooks and crannies in there, but I want to do that. You can see I missed a little bit there. Right, I'm going to come back with a slightly smaller brush, similar kind. I'm just going to like try and get it in there. I mean, it doesn't matter that much because no one's going to be able to see in there, but it's fine. It's fine. Don't be too perfectionist. Bear in mind this model is tiny, but yeah. So that's kind of done now. So what we need to do now is we need to basically go away, let that dry off, and we'll be back for the next part where I start applying the base colours to the models. Okay, so we're back after the primer's had plenty of time to dry, and we're going to be carrying on with the base colours now. So we're going to start doing the flesh on the elephants and then just getting everything else done, but we'll go through as we go, or we do it. So let's get going. So first paint I'm going to be using is Mechanica Standard Grey, which is going to be for the elephant skin. So let's slap some into the old wet palette and then get slopping it on the model. Right, use a fairly big brush for this. Obviously going to put the paint in on the wet palette. I'm going to add a little bit of water, make sure it's the right consistency, and go. Right. Obviously, hopefully, we'll probably speed this bit up. As you can see, that grey's now on there, and we can let it dry for a bit. Okay, now the grey's had time to dry, we are going to apply the colour I'm going to use to make on the wooden sort of, what do you call it, pangola? I don't know, thing that the men sit in. And the colour I'm going to use for that is, where's it gone? Rhinox hide. So we're going to paint the leather straps and the inner bits of the carriage container, man container, Rhinox hide. So let's get on. I've already put the paint on the palette and thinned it. So let's get going. We'll do the little strap bits first. Okay, so that's the brown done of the carriages, and yeah, gonna quickly let that paint dry. So the next part we're gonna paint is the under blanket on both of the elephants. And this under blanket I'm going to use Screamer Pink, because I want it to be slightly purple, and Screamer Pink actually works out quite nicely purple when it dries, and you sort of paint it a few different colours, but you'll see all that. Let's get on and do that. So obviously thinning the paints down. Painting. Okay, yeah, right. So we're gonna have to come back and do two thin coats on this because yeah, this base colour, it's been watered down quite a bit and it's not too bright, so it's kind of like quite translucent at the moment. So I'll vanish and do that. Also, I'm going to quickly pick up on that. That should be a strap, so I should paint that. So right, anyway, through the magic of editing, I'll be right back. So as you can see, we've put the pink, I think I have to do it 3 times to get that level of consistency, to get that level of colour there. So yeah, it's quite translucent, the old pink. The next thing we're going to do is going to paint the bits that are going to be white eventually, and the bits that are going to be white are going to be like the clothes on the soldiers, because these people are Punic Wars people, so they're around about the same time that the ancient Greeks were, and I believe they weren't actually wearing armor. They were the hats are made of metal, but most of the armor is going to be actually made out of cloth, sort of stuck together. That's what the ancient Greeks wore anyway, apparently. And then we're obviously going to do this barding, and we're going to do this little row on the outside, and the color I use as a base coat for white is Celestial Grey, which is quite a light grey, so it acts as a really good kind of base coat for doing white, because I never really paint white on my models. Weirdly, I always kind of paint them light grey and then build up to like an edge highlight or something like that, a really light highlight of white at the end, like something like White Scar, or I don't know, white. So let's get in there and start painting these bits. There's a few bits on here, but it's okie dokie, right. Now, the thing you've got to remember is that the model's going to look terrible at the moment. It's all straggly, doesn't look quite right. I mean, this is quite natural for I need to go back and do this bit here. And it's quite natural for things to be a bit messed up at the moment. We've got a few more layers to do on the actual soldiers, so they're not finished yet. Obviously, this is, and you've got to bear in mind they're very small. They are very small. So, you know, this is going to be like 2 foot away. But don't worry, it's going to get tidied up a bit more. And obviously, you know, you've got to bear in mind the wash will unify everything, because that's what washes do. They are, people don't call them miracle reasons for nothing. This always looks bad at this stage. But anyway, right, so next step. Okay, so that's all dried off. So the next bit to do is we're going to put the red in, and the red's going to be on the flags that are hanging down there, and also on the sort of like the little bits of cloth that aren't white on the soldiers. That's always a smart plan. Right. Just to give them a little bit more interest. And again, I can't stress this enough, that these are going to be real small. Okie dokie. Right, so that's probably going to require me to come back and do another layer, but I shall do that using the magic of editing. Oh, I forgot to say, did I say it's Mephiston red? Right, anyway, so back for the next part. Okay, so the next step is to paint the flesh. We're going to put a base coat of Bugman's Glow on the on all their skin. Okay, right, you can see that that's starting to pull together now. Still looks a bit scrappy too, but don't worry, it will look better. But just let that dry for a second. So the next thing we're going to paint is the tusks. So some of these tusks are actually covered in metal plating, so we will not be painting them all, but there we go. So that's that done. Next we've got to paint the weapons, all the spear shafts and arrows and bows and things, and I'm going to paint them this Vallejo colour, because it's the best brown that's different from the other brown really, and it's just dark flesh tone, 72.044 in Vallejo terms, but you could use another light brown colour if you wanted, or you know, like a mahogany colour, or not quite mahogany, but you know, a light brown, the light brown of choice. you don't want to use that, you could use something like Mornfane Brown from Games Workshop. Cool. Right. Coming up there. Okay, so now we're going to paint the gold, which is going to be basically the helmets and the tusks on the elephant and the hat on the elephant and the shields, basically everything that looks like gold. And we're going to use the Retributor armor for that because I like Retributor armor. It's nice bright gold. So, and that's going to be darkened down when we put the wash in anyway. So its luminescence will be diminished by the presence of brown wash. Right. Let's just get on and do this. Okay, so let's have it done. Almost done with the base coats now. So we just need to get the final metallic metal in, and that's going to be, I'm going to use this Vallejo gunmetal 71.072, but you could use lead voucher here if you wanted to. I'm just using this because it's the closest thing I have on hand, but you know, any silvery metallic, not all metallic metal is all right. We see we're getting there, and we'll just do the spear tips. I mean, I could paint them bronze or something. Maybe it's more thematically correct for the era. And then we just got to pick up the chains as well. In here. We're not going to worry too hard about these ones, the detail. Because quite frankly, no one's going to see him. There we go. A couple of little chains there. Oh, blimey. I forgot my elephant hat. Poor guy. Now all the base colours have had a chance to dry, it's a time to apply a wash to unify everything. Now the wash I'm going to go for is going to be Agrax Earthshade. We're going to be using that because I think it's going to go with most of the colours on the model. It might look a bit dark on the lighter colours, but that's fine. We're going to use it as just to define the lighter colours anyway. And we're going to define the whole model by washing it, and we're going to do an all-over wash. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm probably going to put a bit of water on my brush, but not loads, because this new I say new, it's not new anymore, is it? It's the new washes from Games Workshop are kind of a little bit viscous, so we're going to sort of like thin it almost on the brush, and you'll see how it goes on. We'll put a bit more on. But you don't want loads. You want to sort of control how it goes on there, and so it doesn't pull up too much. But anyway, let's get going. So, as you can see, we've now applied the wash across the entire elephants, and they're looking quite dark now. But that's okay, because we will lighten that up later on. So what we need to do is we need to just go away and basically let it's all dry. So you'll see it when it's all dried next. Now the wash has had plenty of time to dry, we can carry on with the layer colours now. As you can see, the model's got quite dark as well. So we're going to start with the flesh of the elephants. We're going to paint the grey colour, and we're going to highlight that using Stone from City House. So we're going to do that. So give me 1 second. I'm going to put some on the palette, and we're going to thin it down and then take lots of it off the brush. Really, it's almost a dry brush, but not quite. So I'll show you on my finger when we're ready to roll. So as you'll be able to see, there's like not very much on the brush, on the palette, or on the elephant. No, not the elephant, the brush. So we're going to get in there and we'll start basically picking out all the high spots. I always like to think of when you're doing highlights like this, that it's contours of the map, and you're always picking out all the high ridges, all the high spots. Really need to like start filling this in. It's so, as you can see, finished the grey now. It does look a little rough already, but the camera is very harsh. My painting, it's very bright, and under like normal room conditions, it doesn't look as kind of mottly as it does now. But it looks, trust me, it's all right if you're looking at it in real life. And also, I forgot to mention that the wash has left it slightly shiny. I will finish that. I will fix that before the end. Don't worry, I will fix that before the end. So anyway, now the grey's done, we're going to paint the white of the armour of the men. We're going to use a Thurn grey for that. It's a very light white, or light grey, so it looks almost white. I never really use white for any of my models. I use various colours of grey. If I use white, it will be very extreme edge highlight, but I'm not going to do it for these. So we just get a bit on the palette, we thin it down. Again, we're not going to put a massive amount on the brush. Need to sort of be controlled, as it were. And obviously, just take your time. Don't have a lot of paint on your brush. You'll be all right. So you just got to get going with these. And just pick out some white. Yeah, as you can see, we've now finished the white. It's a minor effect, but it does make a bit of a difference. Trust me, it's going to look all right. The model is very, very, very small. So the next colour we're going to paint is red, and we're going to add a highlight to all the red bits, and we're going to use Evil Sun Scarlet for that. So we're going to get on and do that. We will do the purple bits in a sec. But let's crack on. Again, bit of watered down, not massive amounts on the brush. Want like a little tiny bit, so you can just put like, just like practically translucent. All right, let's get going. You can see that red's done, and it's making the flags look a bit brighter and making the shoulders look a little bit brighter. Got to be a little bit careful when you paint the shoulders, and try and avoid that on the cloak if you can. Just try and avoid the. Ooh, let's see if we can get. It's a bit dark. If you can avoid like the where it's red and the washes on there, you can just get a bit of a highlight. But you know, if you stress too much about it, because it's painting. Right. So the next colour to finish off is the purple, and what we're going to do to highlight that is we're going to use Pink Horror, because it's pink but it comes out kind of purple like this, so it should be fine. The thing to bear in mind, again, we're going for like the consistency where it's just about like translucent, so it's not gonna, so the layer color underneath, or the base underneath, is going to shine through. Yeah. What I was going to say now, brain's melted. Oh yeah, try and paint, as this is fabric, make sure you paint the higher parts of the fabric. So, and try and leave the darker parts with the wash in them. So, the purple done, or the pink, purpley pink, pink purple. As you can see, it's just picked out a little bit of the details. You can see it's not completely covering it, it's just on the raised parts. So the layer we're going to use on the brown on the carriage is going to be Doomable brown, and again it's watered down on the wet palette, and obviously we're going for like a very thin, and then we're just going to get in there and layer it in. I'm gonna do it sort of vertical to try and simulate wood. So I'm going to do vertical stripes. So they didn't come quite as successfully as I thought, but hopefully you get the idea. And again, the model, it be small. And I think with that, we're just going to paint on the horns now, and I'm going to do the horns with Shabbity Bone. Again, thin down, just requires a little bit of patience. and also going to paint the crest. But with that being done, because these models are so small, I'm not actually going to paint the silver. I'm not going to highlight the metals because I think we've got enough layers and paints on there at the moment. So that's all the layers done. But as you can see, the model's still slightly shiny from the wash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an all over coat of Lamium Medium. Lamium Medium is basically just it's a paint medium with no pigment in it. So what that will do when you paint that on is it will dry matte and make the whole thing look a lot flatter, because at the moment, as you can see, it's a bit shiny. So you got to make sure the model's thoroughly dry before you do this. And you sort of, like, technical term is just slap it on. So let's get slapping. And you want to get that everywhere, really. Don't worry about it pooling or anything like that, because it does dry clear. So anyway, we get going. As you can see, the model's now covered in medium. It's quite shiny, but I am going to let that dry off, and we'll come back to it when it's dry. So as you can see, the Lamium medium has dried, and we now have a really nice matte finish, and the elephants are looking a lot less shiny, and the whole model's looking a lot less shiny. Easy for me to say. So yeah, I was going to go on and just finish off the basing and stuff like that, but I forgot that the actual arms need a small amount of, just a tiny amount of Cadian flesh tone, just to highlight the arms. So I'm going to get on and do that. You'll see all the arms and all the limbs and all the people. So I'm going to get on and just quickly do that, because I promise that is the final layer. So what I'm going to do, as this video has been far too long already, is I'm going to nip off, finish the base, and I'll show you the finish the base, which I'm going to basically paint in Steel Legion drab, and yep, and finish the rim and do it all. Really put some flock on there. So yeah, okay. So I'll show you when the model is done. So as you can see, I finished off the skin on the soldiers, and I've also finished off the basing. The basing is just Steel Legion drab with a little bit of Carrick Stone dry brushed onto it, with some 2mm static grass that I've got, I think. Yeah, so I hope you have enjoyed the video. It's been a little bit of an effort to put together, so it'll be great if you could like, subscribe, ring the bell. It encouraged me to do more. If you enjoyed it, leave comments. It's my first video filmed like this, so it's a little bit rough and ready, and I'm not quite 100% sure of the format, but like I say, thanks a lot for viewing if you got this far. It's most appreciated. Thanks a lot. Bye.